me to do any voices. I'm battling a bit of a sore throat. That's why I'm drinking tea. So I might not be able to do any voices. Although I don't imagine that I was doing them anyway. So
I mean, if you want to come up with a voice right now, but
I just wanted to give you a heads up.
Thank you.
So
I'm sorry your throat hurts.
no problem. Thanks. All right. Cool. Let's go. All right.
We're broadcasting, Johanna. The people are waiting. All our viewers who've been waiting are watching now or listening now.
If the viewers are watching, I feel really sorry for them. They must have synesthesia or whatever.
I'll look that up later.
Okay. It's where your senses are mixed up. Like you feel colors and you hear, like whatever. Anyway.
Oh, like that bad movie, like with Marlon Wayans, Senseless.
Oh gosh,
Yeah.
it's horrible.
Maybe, possibly.
Oh, Johanna. No Christine tonight?
No. I let her know way too late.
Oh, okay.
I should have.
I think you could have let her know 5 weeks ago, and she probally wouldn't have been able to make it through.
She would have. She would have done it. She would have done it. All right.
I got hair to wash.
All right. Okay.
Let's go.
All right. Ready? Welcome to another episode of Agents of Helm, the show where one of our agents moderates a topic of their own choosing, whether the other agents like it or not. I am Johanna. Tonight it is my turn, and we are discussing one of the many sequels to Pride and Prejudice, the TV adaptation of Death at Pemberley. As you may remember, on my last show, we discussed Pride and Prejudice and how much we liked it, despite ourselves. Joe enjoyed it so much that he brought this particular sequel to our attention. Before we begin, I'm going to introduce the agents. Joe?
What's up?
Lorenzo?
Hey, people. He's gone.
Malik?
Bloody good time, Governor.
You did do a voice.
Yes, I can do that. A little bit.
All right, so I'm going to give you guys a quick summary since this...
Johanna, hold up. Lorenzo's not here.
Yeah, he dropped off by accident.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. I thought
that was me, like messing around.
No, I thought again he had gone to get a snack and was going to come back. So.
He got disconnected.
Okay.
Don't be a bloody fool, Wickham. Or Denim.
Oh, Mr. Tiarina got disconnected.
And this is recorded. Oh. Go. Both of you go.
What am I going to do? He only makes $10,000 a year.
Oh my gosh. Oh, Lydia, poor Lydia.
Poor Lydia. She gets away with everything. It's like my husband went to jail, but now he's out and everything is cool.
I don't even know if it's possible for her to be... I didn't think it was possible for somebody to be more annoying than Mrs. Darcy. I mean, Bennett, sorry. And Lydia did it. But, sorry. All right, let's restart. Lorenzo's back.
Yep.
Okay.
You could just start with the part where you just said, hey, were you calling our names?
Hold on, did I miss the voice, though?
No.
No.
Oh, you never did the voice?
No, we stopped when you fell off.
You have to say scandal in the
Just say it now, Joe.
Yeah, just say it.
See, now you got me on the spot. Now I'm gonna mess up. Scandal!
Hold on.
I jumped in.
It's a scandal! Mr. Collins! It's a scandal!
Okay.
Great.
Yes. All right.
Okay.
Okay, so before we begin, I am going to introduce the rest of the agents. There's Joe.
What's up, people?
There's Lorenzo.
Hey, Johanna.
There is Malik.
Hello, Magistrate.
Yes. Okay, so before we begin, I'm going to give a quick summary. This is a sequel that came out 2 months ago. Somehow Joe is on the cutting edge of Masterpiece Theater. I don't know how, and maybe I don't want to know. So I'm going to give you a summary for those who are playing the home game. So this takes place, Death at Pemberley takes place sometime after Pride and Prejudice. It's 5 years. It doesn't really matter. Lizzie and Darcy are still being disgustingly like cute and weird and witty. They have a child who like doesn't really show up in the movie all that much, and they are living the Cribs life at Pemberley. So everything's sort of sweet in that don't besmirch your family's honor kind of way until death comes to Pemberley. Mostly thanks to Wickham and his wife, Lydia, Lizzie's sister. So Wickham's buddy is murdered. Wickham is put on trial for doing it. In between, there are illegitimate babies, yearnful longings of star-class lovers, and wussy cat fights between both ladies and gentlemen. But no balls. I know you guys were really disappointed by the lack of balls. So let's dive in and let's just start. We're going to share our first impressions. Haha, got it. So we're going to talk about one thing we liked about this sequel and one thing we drove us absolutely nuts. And we're going to start with Joe.
Okay, so the thing that I liked most about this sequel as compared to Pride and Prejudice, that this was only 3 episodes. So that was a big bonus right there. That was the thing I have to say I liked most, that it was only 3 episodes. I actually like the actor who played Mr. Wickham. He's AKA Asmodeus from The Watchmen. So I was like, hey, man, I know that guy from somewhere. Of course, I had to look it up. I was like, oh, okay, so he's Asmodeus from The Watchmen. But, yeah, I mean, that was like the best thing I liked about it was that it was 3 episodes. And I can tell you what drove me nuts. The pacing drove me a little crazy, Johanna. I have to be honest. The pacing drove me a little crazy. It was just like everything happened too soon. The murder happened too soon, and then the rest of the time is them, everybody trying to figure it out, and it just kind of, I don't know. It seemed like it took too long. I think we could have done this in 2 episodes instead of 3.
I have to agree with you that kind of what we start with is kind of like this reunion episode, right, where you get Mrs. Bennet, you get the sisters and everybody, and then and there's going to be a ball. And then all of a sudden that all stops, and suddenly you don't see Mrs. Bennet anymore, and you don't get those interactions anymore, and it really becomes about Darcy and Lizzie being like detectives while at the same time fighting with each other. Is that kind of like
and Lizzie doesn't really turn detective until like it smacks her right in the face at the end. What the outcome turned out to be. So are we doing this? Obviously, this is not going to be spoiler free, but are you saving the whodunit for the end, or are we just going to go?
Oh, we're just going to go. This is balls to the wall. Let's do this thing.
Okay. So yeah, I mean, Lizzie, like, she becomes a detective like at the end, like it pretty much smacks her right in the face who the killer is. And she finally puts it together. Darcy, the rest of these guys, the Colonel, none of these guys could do it. I mean, and how many people are named Fitzwilliam in this show? Did I miss it? Like the cousin is a Fitzwilliam,
and
Darcy's a Fitzwilliam, and his daughter is a Fitzwilliam, right?
Son, damn it.
His daughter's a Fitzwilliam, right?
It's a boy. It's a boy.
Whatever. It looked like a little girl running around the house. It definitely looked like a little girl laying in the bed.
He was wearing breeches.
Whatever. Fine.
Oh my
It's a little boy. It looked like a little girl. Looked like they cast a little girl as a little boy. Whatever. How many Fitzwilliams are there?
It's the family.
But that's their first names, right? Fitzwilliam.
That's how they keep their family. Let's not get Fitz from Scandal into this. I can't right now. But I think it's because it's a family name and they are upholding the family honor at all costs.
Oh, the Colonel didn't, but
Yeah. He was so sketchy from the beginning, though.
Yeah, him and Wickham look like they cut from the same cloth, and it goes to show you they work together at some point. Well, not work together. I mean, the Colonel was kind of trying to hide the fact that Wickham had a baby outside of wedlock, right?
Yeah.
So he was trying to hide that, and then he makes a deal with Wickham's sister. We learned that he has a sister in this one, and the
So
mysterious
ridiculous.
lady with the green bonnet. It's green, right? Green and black, whatever she was wearing.
Yeah.
She wore that same outfit the whole time. How many days can you wear the same outfit?
I don't know. It's like the freaking, like the early 1800s. They didn't have clothes or they didn't bathe, just all kind of plastered to them with sweat.
Okay.
Okay. All right. So, Lorenzo, one thing you liked about the sequel and one thing that drove you nuts.
Sorry,
Hold on.
I was on mute. I'm here.
Okay.
Well, you were talking about you were sort of setting the scene for how it was before the murder, but I feel like things weren't all that great in Pemberley before all this started. There was a lot of tension bubbling on the surface with their their whole marriage. I think there was issues that they just never even talked about, and so she's like insecure about all these things, and it's all just like down there below the surface before things start. And then I think the events that happen kind of trigger that sort of her fears about whether or not Darcy made a mistake to be with her, and she's all that comes into play. But well, okay, I like that Jane is prettier than Elizabeth in this one.
Oh my God.
Not that I ever read the book, but I think that this Elizabeth was probably more what Jane Austen had in mind, but younger. This this one is like 40.
I don't think she's that old. I mean, well,
Well, in real life, she's like 35. So still, that would make Jane like what, 36, 37. This is 6 years after they got married.
oh,
So they
six
were already
years.
like 30 at that time. So it's no wonder Mrs. Bennet was freaking out. Um, but Georgina is cute, and Lydia, she's really cute. So that was good. Um, oh, and I like the grand jury proceeding. Um, where basically it's like an outdoor bar and people are just drinking and judging. I would
Yeah.
have liked to see Eric Gardner or
Oh
Darren
no.
Wilson put in front of a crowd like that, but with black people in it and drunk Puerto Ricans and Mexicans.
Oh my God.
I love
See
that.
how
Like,
they
yeah,
see
you
how
did
they
that
do.
shit. You did that shit. I thought it was great. The social commentary in the background was great. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so yeah, that's what I liked about it.
Yeah, that Grand Jerry scene was pretty sweet. I think, it's so rare. I think you were talking about this in the last episode, Lorenzo, that like the servants were kind of like just furniture, and in this one, obviously like we don't get I think it's like also the time it was done, like because of Downton Abbey, there's a lot more interest in like the quote unquote lower classes, so we get a little bit of that at the grand jury proceeding.
Well, I guess there's another book that's about the servants in Pride and Prejudice. I don't know if
Oh.
I don't think it's a movie, but yeah, I would have liked to see that movie. The story from the servant's point of view. Kind of like what's that? Those two guys from Shakespeare, Gurdenstein and
Rosencrantz and Guildenstern.
yeah, Rosencrantz and Guildenstern.
Yeah, I'm sure Mrs. Reynolds would have had a lot to say. She seemed like she knew a lot of secrets. And what's his name, Mr. Bidwell? The
Wow, you
guy.
remembered their names and everything.
Yeah, I'm telling you, it's in my mind. I'm not even looking at IMDb or anything. It's just I got their names in my head.
It's affecting your mind.
Yeah, Mrs. Reynolds and Mr. Bidwell. Well,
Is
Mr. Bidwell is the father of the girl who
with the baby.
yeah, with the baby. I
Is,
like what
is
you called her breastfeeding.
yeah, and it's like
Oh
scandal.
That's pretty. That's pretty hot.
Yeah. If it's a secret, why the hell are you breastfeeding in the window?
Yeah. Well, Malik, did you see that place? I think everything. I don't think there was any place you could have went where there wasn't a window.
Like,
It's
seriously.
true.
That thing was small.
That house was full of secrets, yet surrounded by windows. So Lorenzo, I'm not sure if you addressed one thing that drove you nuts. I don't
Go
know if
into
you.
that.
Oh, I didn't know. Did you combine your questions and your
Oh,
answers?
oh no, not at all. That was what I liked about it. Do you want me to tell
Okay.
you what I didn't like about it?
One thing.
Well, so Darcy didn't do it for me. That was one thing that drove me crazy was that I couldn't tell the men apart. Like Colonel Fitzwilliam, Darcy, Wickham, I just couldn't really tell them apart. Um, yeah, so my like ability to tell people apart has I think goes beyond race.
Well, they were all like white,
White guy,
so
6 foot, brown hair fits the description.
same
Yeah.
haircut, hairstyle, like
What I
But
mean is it's not just black people that get confused.
it's just other people who aren't Mexican.
Well, yeah, I know Malik and Taylor. They think that I'm like racist or something.
We don't think you're racist. We had a meeting. All black people.
All the black people got together.
We had a meeting and we all agreed on it actually, as a group.
You're not a racist.
Well, yeah, which one? That I am or that I'm not?
No, that you're not. That we had a meeting when we agreed that you're
Okay,
not.
good.
You're not a racist.
Phew! That was close.
All right.
So yeah, Darcy didn't do it for me. I don't think I found that there was much action at all. So um, that was another thing, but I think that's for your next question.
Yes. We'll get into that with the adaptation issues. All right, Malik, one thing you liked about the sequel, one thing that drove you crazy.
Um, so I'll start with what drove me crazy, just because that's much easier to pull. Um, so what really drove me crazy is that this is supposed to be entitled "Death Comes to Pemberley," right? And so honestly, the 3 hour should very well be about the death that comes to Pemberley, and that the director or producer or whoever made this film seemed to be really, really, really trying, but then not trying to stay true to Jane Austen by still throwing in this love story in the midst of it. So this whole story between Georgiana and the Colonel and whatever that blonde haired annoying dude's name was. I can't remember his name, but
the guy from
that
One
whole
Direction.
He's from
yes.
One Direction?
No, I said that's what he looks like, a dude from One
Oh,
Direction.
Yeah, exactly.
yeah.
That whole scene and and then Elizabeth being unsure whether or not Darcy still loves her and still wants to be with her. Like, excuse me, the last thing I remember is like your cousin's on trial for murder, or this dude that you guys are like, you're supposed to love him like family, or you're supposed to love him like family. He's on trial for murder. There's all kinds of shit. There's all kinds of scandal going on. Y'all still worried about who's getting married to whom? Like, why are we still worrying about that at this very juncture? I thought that just bothered the hell out of me. Every time that they decided to go down that path, it just really started to piss me off. And
Yeah,
I
I
was like,
think,
let's get back to the discussion of the actual murder, please.
like, I think that they were kind of like, well, let's insert this Austin-y thing in here because that's what people are looking for. When it's like, no, we know it's a fucking mystery.
We know what this
Yeah.
is. We've already gotten the Austin story. We know what this story is supposed to be. So just tell us this goddamn story and leave that other stuff out of it. And to Joe's point, I think that's what made it 3 hours long. If you take that stuff out, it's probably a 2 episode short series, and it probably finishes with Elizabeth finding out the true nature of the killer. Um, so probably the thing I did like, I actually and I explained this. I told this to Joe early on. I really liked the first episode. I thought from beginning to end, the first episode is probably the strongest episode of the three. And it's kind of morbid. Like it's not.
Yes.
It definitely does not feel like Pride and Prejudice. Like that entire first episode feels like a Downton Abbey. It feels like an episode of like Sherlock or something like that, where there's all of this intrigue and there's all of this really really messed up shit going on, like the hanging of the kid, and then the mom hangs herself, and the ghost of the lady in the woods. Where the fuck was that? What the hell was that all about, by the way? But all of that, like that first episode, was really good, and I was excited to get to the next
Mhm.
episode because I was like, wow, if this is what it's going to be about. Even the music was a lot more morbid. Like I was hoping to get, I was hoping that they'd fuck around and just like at the end of the end of the episode, after all this bad shit has happened, they'd play the song from the end of the other Pride and Prejudice episodes. Um, just to lighten the mood again and bring you back to that situation. But I was hoping to get that. I didn't get that, but I did really like the first episode, and I thought it was going down a really interesting path early on, and it falls off a cliff later on.
Yeah, I have to agree that, and maybe like that was also part of like why I just really like felt really positive about it was like that first episode. It had like such a gothic feel. A lot of this honestly like reminds me of Jane Eyre, where there's like this really creepy feeling in like the entire novel.
Mm.
But there is a love story going on, and then there's crimes, and then there's all these discoveries. But there's still the tone is very like from the beginning where she's a child and they're like there's a ghost in here, and then she's in school and her best friend dies of TB, and she finds out that her the guy she's about to marry has a keeps his wife in the attic, his crazy wife. Um, that's kind of what I got from that first episode. Just like you said, that there's this feeling, this tension, this spookiness, and then by the second episode, it's not like that at all anymore. And the ghost actually is just Wickham's sister, which just comes the fuck out of nowhere, like 20 minutes before the fucking third episode ends.
Hey, Johanna,
Mm-hmm.
there's some buzzing.
Buzzing. I don't know. Is it still happening?
Well, do you guys hear it, or is it just me?
No, I hear it. I wasn't sure where it was coming from. I didn't
I
want to.
hear it. I hear it in my earphones. So
Well,
I'm not sure it's coming from me. I'm not getting any calls. I'm not getting any
I don't hear
texts.
any buzzing, so maybe it's me. Let me check. Let me mute myself.
Yeah,
Yeah,
too,
it's
Joe.
gone.
Yeah.
Yeah, it had to either be you or Joe because Malik and me were both Malik and I were both muted.
All right.
Yeah, I
So
hear it
what kind
again.
of buzzing is it? Like a what is it?
Like a refrigerator.
Yeah, like when a refrigerator's open or something
Yeah.
like that, and it's
Like a
that.
fan,
Yeah,
or yeah, just it sounds like interference mostly.
Is it
yeah,
just like a buzzing sound, like zzz, like something like
yeah,
that?
Yep.
yeah.
All right. Let me.
Maybe you need to ground yourself.
Yeah, I had this. See the problem. I no. I was afraid that might happen.
I can hear you pushing buttons in the ethosphere.
All right. I'm gonna switch to my Chromebook. I don't think it happens there.
Okay.
So you're gonna drop off, Joe?
No. I hope I'm trying to keep this
Okay, because
seamless. Uh, Hello.
Yep.
Is it still there?
Nope.
Faint. It's like I can hear it, but it's really, really faint. Like I can still hear it a little bit.
Oh yeah, you can't hear it.
Yeah, it's really faint though. I mean, I think we can get by without it. With
I
that.
can't hear it. I might be deaf.
But
Or
maybe,
something?
yeah, Joe, just mute yourself when you're not talking.
Okay.
I think we all should do it as a general rule.
Yep.
Okay.
All right. So where were we? Let's pick it back up.
One thing you liked, maybe? Oh,
You-
wait. No, you already did. You talked about the Gothic.
Yep. And then you did yours. So, and you want to jump to the next one, or is it?
Let's, unless anybody has any other thoughts, let's move to the next one because I think a lot of our gripes might have to do with the casting. So.
Yeah.
All
Okay.
right. So, that's great. First impressions. Now we're going to talk about some of the issues with the sequel, and not so much how different from the original, which the original was written by Jane Austen, and this was written by some guy named P.D. James. But we're going to talk about casting gripes. So, which characters got shortchanged here? What casting seemed to make sense? What casting didn't seem to make sense? And what characters do you wish had more of a role in the movie? Let's go back to Malik.
P.D. James. I just found that it's just a funny name.
P.D.
Look,
James.
okay, the one thing I say, one of the things that coming out of the Pride and Prejudice 6-part miniseries that we saw, where are the heaving boobs in this? Like there are no heaving breasts in this film. How did Elizabeth get both exponentially older than her sisters? Because I know she's young. She's supposed to be younger than Jane. She don't look younger than Jane. Okay, she looks like she's older than Jane now. She looks like she's the oldest sister of everybody. She looks like she's at least 15 years older than Lydia. And like this must be a really, really bad marriage situation that she's a part of because she looks like she has been through the shit, right? She looks like she looks horrible. She looks horrible from the depiction of the character that we saw in the initial in the first miniseries to this character now. Look, I'm not saying anything about the actress herself. I think she did a relatively decent enough job. I mean, she was kind of pan faced the entire film. She didn't really show much emotion. Even when she was supposed to show emotion, it didn't really come across very well. You also had no idea that she had any connection at all with her son, with her child.
Yes, that was the invisible child who only slept.
There's even like there's the two scenes that I remember distinctly with the child have to do with Darcy really when he picked up the child and was like, oh, we're going to go hunting in the very beginning, and then at the very, very end when he's playing with his son at the end, right? And in between you see him, I think, see the kid once or twice like running through the house, and that's about it. So I guess like the maids take care of the babies. I did like the only casting that I really thought was dead on was Wickham. I think Wickham was the same. It looked like same dude to me. I swear it was the same guy. And although she was a very, very small character in this one, I thought that the casting and the and just the portrayal of Mrs. Bennet was a little bit muted this time around. And it wasn't over the top. I think that Jane Austen's intentions for Mrs. Bennet was that she was like this overwhelming character, and like any scene that she was in the original series, she owned it, in more ways than one. Like she was extremely annoying, but that was the point, right? So, and this character was kind of just dull, and she tried to do a lot of the same things and make it all about herself and be a little bit over dramatic and all that, and it just fell flat in a way that the other character in the other miniseries just didn't. So those are the two characters that step out to me as really poorly casted, or just just kind of contrived.
I mean, yeah, it's obvious that like the Mrs. Bennet from Death Comes to Pemberley, it was kind of like the director was like, okay, we want you to like harken back to the one from the BBC Pride and Prejudice, but not too much, and mute it here, and just here's the tape and watch it. And it's pretty much just a facsimile, and there's just no depth to it. I'm looking at pictures of Anna Maxwell Martin right now, who played Elizabeth Bennet, and she does not look that like rough. And I don't understand why the makeup people would decide to make her look that rough. And even if she was, if she did have like signs of aging that made her look older than Lizzie was supposed to be, I don't understand why a makeup artist wasn't like, it feels like a directorial decision, and it feels really weird. Like, I can't figure out why that decision would be made. Like, she doesn't have to look like she's Botoxed, but I mean, at the same time, Also, yes, heaving bosoms. Where were they?
They need to be
Like,
there. I mean, these girls are still trying to get husbands. A lot of these girls are still trying to get husbands, if I'm not mistaken, right? So show the boobs, okay?
not even Lydia, who's kind of supposed to be tarty, like,
Right.
I did not see anything.
Exactly.
Yeah. Lorenzo? All right, Joe?
I'm
There's
here. I'm
Lorenzo.
here.
Okay, I'm sorry.
It just takes me a while to get to push the mute button.
I'll give you a 20-second delay. That's all.
Thank you. So yeah, I definitely agree with no heaving breasts. And yes, about her being so old. Like, she's 36, and she is a very lovely-looking woman. If you look her up, like on IMDb, like you were saying, she looks. Her IMDb description is striking. So yeah, I think they definitely wanted to do up the part about her not being the most attractive, being a little bit frumpier than her sisters, but that I think was like the original intent. But what ended up happening was that I thought Jane was prettier, and that was something that really bothered me from Pride and Prejudice, the was it 1996 version?
I believe so, yeah.
Yeah, like to me, Jane was nowhere near as pretty as Elizabeth in that one. And maybe they just felt my gripe. They heard me complain about it, and then that is why they just totally went the polar opposite of those two things. And like I said, I think the younger sisters were really cute. Lydia was cute, and Georgina was really cute. But yeah, I told you, like, I had a hard time telling everybody apart as far as the guys. I just didn't. None of them really stood out all that much for me. So yeah, I definitely felt kind of disappointed by Darcy, and just how he was. He just wasn't. He didn't have as much integrity as the Darcy that I know so well now after 6 hours.
Yeah, and he just wasn't as intense either. Like, he was kind of like, again, kind of like Mrs. Bennet. It's like,
Well,
here,
the thing about Mrs. Bennet was that she was just there for like silly comedy. She's lost all her power. Once her daughters are gone from her house, she loses a lot of that mischief-making ability, and so she's kind of powerless now, and that makes her, I thought, I thought it made her much less interesting.
Yeah, she was far less interesting. It was kind of just like, oh, here's the campy value. We're bringing her in because I'm sure all four of us were not the only people who felt the same way about Mrs. Bennet in the 6-part miniseries. So, yeah, Darcy was pretty bland. I have to say, like, the girl who played Lydia was, like, really cute and seemed like a better choice for the role than the girl who played her in the 6-part miniseries. Like, this Lydia looks like she's gonna fuck some shit up. Like, and she's, like, very tarty, and she looks like someone who would like run away with a soldier, and she thinks that she's kind of like the bomb and all this shit, and also she's just a very pretty girl. So yeah.
So most of the casting for the women I thought was pretty good. So it's just really strange that why they had Elizabeth as Elizabeth. It just didn't make any sense to me.
It
It's
didn't.
been 6 years since they got married, and it looks like it's been 15.
Yeah, at least on her face. I mean, Darcy still looks relatively young.
He looks the same,
She still
yeah,
looks the
but
same. Everybody else kind of doesn't look like they've aged. They've aged a day, and it looks like childbirth and the marriage to Darcy really took a toll on her.
Yeah. No, and it's a particularly striking thing when they go back to the flashbacks and she looks the same and she's supposed to be 24 or whatever age she's supposed to be.
yeah,
And
I know she's like 26 on the outside, and in this, she's being played by a 36-year-old.
which is, I mean, it's fine. I mean, Isabella Johnny played a 19-year-old when she was almost 50.
But did they try
Um,
to? But did they do anything to try to help her look more like a younger person?
I mean, she's very youthful, but I'm sure that the makeup people were not hesitant to take some sort of brush to her and kind of contour her face a little, fill in some of the wrinkles, etc. So yeah, no, you're right. I don't understand. I'm still trying to understand why directorially, like, she's supposed to look that way, you know? Because I think it's a very deliberate. And I mean, is it because it's like I don't want to say feminist statement, but it's like she, isn't wearing makeup, she's very natural, blah blah blah, and is that what it's supposed to be? Or anyway, I find it very confusing. I think I'm just echoing you guys. I'm just trying to figure out why. um, Joe?
All right, so outside of Lizzie looking like she got beat with a branch from the ugly tree,
Oh,
um,
that's not fair.
I mean,
She's not ugly, Joe. I'm
I
telling
know
you.
she's
Look her
not.
up.
She's
Look her up on
beautiful.
IMDb.
I'm
They
not. I'm
did
not. I'm,
something to
I'm
her
saying the way they
face.
made her look in the series. I don't know. What she looks like in real life is doesn't matter to me at this point. I mean, I'm talking about what I saw in the actual series. Um, so outside of that, I mean, the biggest casting gripe I had there was with John with Wickham. Not because the actor was bad. I think he didn't get enough time. Like Wickham in the series, you're supposed to the way they position you, you're supposed to already not like him based on what happened in Pride and Prejudice. So if you've never seen the 6 hour miniseries or any of the various adaptations done after that, you know, and you come into this, you're supposed to already come in with the hatred for Wickham, and if you hadn't seen those previous versions, you wouldn't know why. Um, and I just think that he didn't, they spend the whole 3 hours, trying to make him look bad. You're trying to get the guilty verdict, and all along he's innocent. And I think they just wasted too much of his time in jail. They should have had him out there scheming and scamming or something, and still be innocent. You know what I mean? I think that would have made it a little bit better. Um, so that's my gripe there with the characters. I like the Lydia. I like the new spin they put on her. I like the actress they got to play her. I'm trying to think of anybody else that I wasn't too keen on. Well, you got the what was Georgiana's the fiance, not the colonel, the one that ended up being the fiance. The
What's his
Lawyer.
face? Like, who
uh,
even
was
knows?
it was it Henry or something like that? I can't remember. Something
Yeah.
along those
I
lines.
mean, he was very forgettable, obviously.
Yeah, I
Yeah, he
mean,
was like a little mini Bingham.
yeah, he
Yes.
he looks like one of the One Direction kids. That's what he looked like to me. As soon as I saw him, I was like, that looks like one of the dudes from One Direction. Um, he wasn't too bad. I mean, I want to know where the doctor got the wig from, because that wig was like crazy. The wig he was wearing in the house, or even in the outside, when he was testifying at the outside, what was it, the grand jury
Mhm.
proceedings, whatever that was. Yeah, I'm trying to think. There wasn't too much else that I had an issue with as far as casting. It didn't, I didn't really have that much of a problem with Darcy. He didn't stare as much as Colin Firth in the first Pride and Prejudice.
Crazy eyes.
He did a lot more talking. At least we got that out of him, where Colin Firth didn't really do much talking in the previous. well, in the Pride and Prejudice series.
I liked him better that way, Joe.
Yeah, we got a lot of talking from Darcy. Unfortunately for you, Johanna, no lake diving, no coming out of the
I
lake.
know, but this guy, no. With this guy, no. This guy, no.
No
No.
for him.
Mm-mm.
He's like one of the only guys that didn't wear a wig. Him and the Colonel. I don't know, something about the wigs in this movie.
Wickham also wore a wig?
No, not Wickham when he was on trial, but like the One Direction guy wore a wig when he was representing
Oh,
the
yes.
lawyer.
His
The
name was
doctor wore a wig
Henry.
all the time.
Yeah.
Even when he was at Pemberley, at the House of Pemberley. And just one other thing that I should have mentioned before: the fact that the murder happened outside the house really bothered me. I wish it would have happened inside the house. But anyway,
Like Clue.
exactly.
Yeah, I have to say that if you are someone coming into the sequel and you see Wickham and the way he's portrayed, you're kind of like, you know what I mean? You're like, he's not that bad.
Exactly.
Like, why are people like whatever? And it's like, he almost he took what he tried to take Georgiana's virginity. He had her run away with him. Like, this is a huge deal.
Did he not take it? Because when Colonel Fitzwilliam, whatever his name, he's a Fitzwilliam too. Colonel Fitzwilliam, when he says, I'll even take her even though she's been with what's his face,
Wickham.
Wickham.
Oh, wow.
Remember when he said that at the stairs?
No. He says what he says is I'll take Georgiana even if Wickham is hanged. That's what he says. He actually
hanged.
Yeah. So because
What's that got to do?
Well,
because he would have lost his money if.
Exactly.
Okay.
So if Wickham is found guilty and hangs for it, it would have a negative impact on the money, on the wealth of the family itself, because Wickham was related to the family.
I thought he said even if Wickham had her or already had her or something like that. I thought that's what he said. Because I know Wickham was with her, or she ran away with Wickham, who was tricked into being with Wickham by the younger, scarier looking sister.
Yeah, I mean, either way, whether he took her virginity or not, I think in the 6-part miniseries, it was made very obvious that this was like a terrible thing, all caps, right? Like, this is unforgivable. This is, he gambles, he drinks, and then Lydia runs away with him. He's obviously an unsavory guy. But when you meet him, you're like, eh. And
I mean, if you don't know all that when you come into this movie, you're thinking, like, why does everybody hate this guy?
Why does everyone hate him? And this is an innocent man who's on trial, as opposed to this is like they're trying to turn a villain into an anti-hero, and so yeah, that was a little frustrating with the portrayal.
And we don't really get to know Lieutenant Dan.
No, he's there for like 20 seconds or something, and he tries to spirit away the baby, right? He tries to give the money and he fucks it up, and no, we don't spend any time with Lieutenant Dan, which also kind of blunts the edge of the death at Pemberley. Right?
Exactly, that's my point. We don't really get to know him, so him dying really is no big deal.
Yeah. I think that's at the heart of like what was at stake in this film, right?
Yeah, I mean that was my point. Like, you really don't know him, right? We don't get to build a relationship with him, and then he's there and then he disappears.
That was disappointing to me, because when I heard Death at Pemberley, I thought it was going to be someone who originally, who was part of the cast of characters.
It should have been Mr. Collins, easily. That would have been great.
It would have been. He wasn't even in this.
I know.
Shame.
All
right.
With Lady Catherine Deneuve, whatever her name is.
She was in it.
She was in it for like 2 minutes.
Seconds, yeah. Just to, wheel her in so we know that she's still alive.
Just to come and say, I'm staying, and then when she sees Lydia, I'm leaving, Yeah,
exactly. So the next two, I'm going to combine the next two together. I think they go hand in hand. I thought this was extremely trashy. I don't think you guys agreed with me. But we could talk about how there's all of this kind of weird, like, he's in jail, this is his sister, there's a baby. Like, was that an upgrade on the original series? Also, 2-part question. So second part is, Was this necessary? Was this sequel necessary? So it's a two-part question. Lorenzo?
You gotta give him a minute. Okay.
You did.
Yeah, I have my answer right here.
Okay.
Stupid question. Of course this was necessary. Absolutely necessary. If for no other reason than I could be here in this moment telling you in the best of all possible worlds that this has to be the stupidest question in the history of all questions.
So was it necessary or not?
Of course it was necessary.
What about
Best of
this?
all possible worlds right here, me saying that is the dumbest, stupidest, most idiotic question in the history of all questions.
Well, what about the first question? Like, was the type of action, the mystery genre, was that an upgrade or an underwhelming, or could we even say like a sacrilege, like spitting on the original, whichever tack you want to take?
Well, I don't think I found there to be much action at all. Are you talking about at the end when Wickham is nearly hung?
No, I'm talking
Because
about
that whole
like
thing was just stupid.
that was stupid
I
because they
mean, the kid dies like right after his confession.
yeah.
Right? Like, I mean, it must have been like minutes after his confession because she, at that point, needed to take off and she waited for him
Yeah.
to die first. So it just tied up that loose string nicely. Oh, he kills somebody and then he dies and there's like no consequence for it. Um, yeah, I missed the dancing.
Wow, Lorenzo, you missed the dancing.
I did, yeah. There was like no dancing in this one. I mean, there wasn't, like you said, there wasn't even a ball. Like I seem to remember a canceled ball and a
Yes.
flashback ball, but I don't think
Yes.
there was any actual balls.
No, there were no flash, there were no future balls. It was a serious oversight. I think it was though because a lot of the cultural aspects of the Regency era that are in like the original, obviously because someone who lived during the Regency era wrote them, they're kind of gone. This could almost be any era. This could be Downton Abbey to some extent, right? The daughter trying to be modern and marrying someone who's not of her class, and the servants and the way they're arranging everything. It was very Downton, and Downton
I
is
mean, they
set.
showed like quadrille for like like a second. I forgot when, but they're playing cards, and like you get they I think uh somebody gets mad and walks out and then they just start to play cards and that's it. There was no actual card playing going on in this one because yeah, they just love the quadrille when in the olden days, I guess.
I never in the world thought you would ever say that, Lorenzo. I missed the quadrille. This has really changed your brain chemistry. So yeah, so a lot of those things are gone, and I think a lot of the action in the six-part miniseries was based kind of like on this dancing stuff, and that's kind of taken away, right? Um,
Definitely,
so
yeah.
yeah, so you would say this is kind of like adaptation decay, as opposed to it being like an action upgrade.
Yeah, I mean, I thought it was very much watered down. In my opinion. I think Joe summed up a few parts of it nicely, and so did Malik when they're talking about things that they could have done to make it more of a, yeah, more actiony, or less actiony, depending on which way they wanted to go. But
Mm-hmm.
I wasn't sure that the direction was ever consistent.
All right, awesome. Malik, so was this genre upgrade, I mean, this genre change and all this stuff, was it an upgrade? Was it underwhelming? And also, although Lorenzo thought this was the stupidest question in the world, was this necessary?
So to answer the second question first, again, um, it was not necessary. I think that although I'm sure there was a desire for people to see, what comes next. I think that, at the end, and I think we even mentioned this when we were doing our recap of the Pride and Prejudice series, is like at the end of it, it ends with the marriage of Darcy and Elizabeth, and that's it. And you're forced to kind of make your own inference as to what happens next. And so this was kind of giving us that, but it to me it was telling its own story, and it was like I said, there was a point where it was kind of you know, it was going down its own path, and it was just taking us into the world of these characters and like one isolated story within the world of these characters. And I thought that ideally, if it had stayed down that path, it probably would have been, I think, much better received by me than if it hadn't veered off into Jane Austen land, and tried to become an actual sequel. And that, so I felt like that piece of it was unnecessary. I think that you could have told a really good, really succinct story about death comes to Pemberley and all the stuff that was going on without trying to Austen it up, and trying to stay true to the source material or what have you, just for the sake of doing it. And so that part of it I thought was unnecessary. Um, as far as the trashiness and again, it's one of those things that it felt like those ideas all sounded really, really nice in a production meeting. and they were like, why don't we make but they had no connection to the actual story, right? They weren't like Darcy, I'm not Darcy, Wickham having this child out of wedlock and having Colonel Fitzwilliam basically, you know, bribe, try to bribe the girl into giving the baby up and so on and so forth. Like all of that had nothing to do with the murder. Like had literally nothing to do with what happened in the murder. Like even the fight um, between Denham and Wickham in the very beginning, you want to believe that there's some kind of connection between, what they're fighting about and maybe like what you learn. So maybe Denham is fighting Wickham, is upset at Wickham because he just found out about the baby or whatever, you know what I mean? Like, and it has nothing to do with that, right? It's like, so to me, it was a lot, it was much ado about nothing because there's just the fact that like you just threw these ideas and was like, all right, well, we need to tell the story, and it's going to be three episodes, and it's going to be 3 hours. For what can we throw in here? Oh, let's throw in some baby daddy shit, and let's throw in some adultery, and let's throw in some love situation here, and it was like, really, was it necessary? What did he need to do that? At least if you're going to do it, okay, at least tie it back to the main story. Maybe tell me a really, really comprehensive, really interesting story about all of these characters and how the death of Denham it ties into all of these things, right? Maybe Denham finds out something he shouldn't have known, and that's why he gets killed. But in whole actuality, as the damn thing ends, it was a fucking accident, right? So it's like, really? I mean, I went through all of this. I went through 3 hours of this, to find out all this information about all of these people, only to come to find out that the fucking dude tripped, right? It's like, okay, yeah, yeah. So I feel like, being trashy and um, being like, being this way for a purpose, as it ties into your story, makes sense and it works. But being trashy for the sake of being trashy, it just didn't make any sense to me. It lost all value as it went along. And when we got to the ending, and that's what makes the payoff of finding out who the killer really is so bland and so nothing. If for no other reason than you want to hope, or maybe you have like this outlying hope that um, Wickham is somehow saved from the gurney, or from being hanged, in time, and she's able to get the message across town quick enough. That's about it.
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of like the sick guy was like Chekhov's sick dying man, right?
Hmm.
Because he's introduced at the beginning, and then he's not really in the series in the movie, and then all of a sudden it's like, yeah, by the way, I killed the guy by mistake,
Yeah.
and then I die, and it's kind of like it adds like this soap opera aspect to it, which again, as we talked about, if it had had like this consistent gothic feel to it, then this would kind of have fit in, right? There's this sickly guy and it's kind of creepy and he's kind of creepy and he's bitter and blah blah blah, and then at the end it's him, and then it makes sense because the tone like keeps everything together. But instead, a lot of what it seems like to me, and it might seem this way to you, Malik, is a lot of it is like the exoneration of Wickham.
Yeah, it really is. It really becomes that. And so one thing I was really like, the one thing I was hoping for, and um, it doesn't. It kind of ties into how the. As a matter of fact, I'm not going to say it now because I think it ties into when we're doing the genre choices.
Mm-hmm.
But there's a story that could have been told that when I was thinking about the character, when I was thinking about who wound up being the killer, I was like, wow, there's a really interesting story here that they could have told that they chose not to tell.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and instead they told Pride and Prejudice Part Two, and oh by the way, somebody died, right?
Yes, yes,
And
yes.
that was it.
Yeah. Joe?
Yeah, well, as far as the trashiness and soap opera level of it, I mean it had a majority of the elements that you would want in a soap opera. You had your love triangle, you had a murder, you had babies out of wedlock, all the kind of things you'd find in a soap opera. But the one thing it was missing that's essential to the soap opera is drama. It didn't
Mm.
there was no drama here. There was no. I never felt like anything was going anything that shouldn't have happened, was going to happen. You know what I mean? It wasn't
Mm-hmm.
like I didn't feel like there was a ton at stake here. And like I said earlier, it wasn't. I didn't know Lieutenant Dan. What was his real name in there?
Denny?
Denny,
Captain Denny.
Captain Denny. I didn't know him. He was there for 2 minutes. Was gone. So I think the drama was really missing, where but then it causes it to be really underwhelming. Um, the loss is no big deal. Whether Wickham is guilty or innocent, that was like the whole story. He turns out to be innocent, and even when Lizzie is racing through the night with Mr. Bidwell through the night to get there before dawn to rescue Mr. Wickham, I really didn't feel like she was not going to get there. Um, you just knew she was going to get there to rescue him, and she's not doing it just for her and for Darcy. She's doing it for her little sister, who she was, although was trying to hide it, was really down about this whole thing, about her husband cheating, dying, the whole 9 yards. So yeah, like I said, all the elements of a soap opera, minus the drama, which is the most important piece. And was this necessary? I'm gonna say no. And this is all my fault because I
Joe,
found this for you, Johanna.
you
But this is all my
did.
fault.
I would have never found it. I would have just done a show like on Lord of the Rings or something.
See, that's what happened. I was like, hey, Johanna, maybe you'd be interested in this, blah, blah, blah. And then now you turned it against me.
I didn't
Anyway,
turn it. I mean, you knew
I
what was
know.
going to happen. You knew.
um, but was the
Yeah,
story
yeah.
was the story necessary? I'm gonna say no. Only because I don't think it added on to what was already there in Pride and Prejudice. This is more like a Scooby Doo movie. Let's find out.
Scooby
If it
Doo.
wasn't for those damn Fitzwilliam Darcys, we would have got away with this murder. Um, and the whole letdown of finding out that it was Will that just accidentally, he popped him in the head. And how hard could he have hit him? I mean, he was pretty weak. And this soldier like backtracks, and he's running up the hill and then slips and falls. So technically, that guy didn't even murder him. He just, he fell. So yeah, I'm gonna say no. It was not necessary.
And I have to agree with you that not feeling like anything was at stake was a huge problem. Like, you kind of already knew Wickham was going to survive and that he probably didn't do it. And so that really, like, the drama was lowered. This was not like Maria la del Barrio or like some other like Spanish soap opera. Like, this was not.
Yeah, it wasn't. If they would have done like there was crying like every 2 minutes, and the music, like the crazy close-ups, and
The
and
dramatic
the
music.
music, the dramatic music, and the 2-minute stares. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
None of that. No drama. Very little action. I think the most action they had was when the colonel slammed what's his face Wickham against the
Wickham.
wall.
Oh, don't forget, Darcy and Lizzie got it on.
Oh, that's
So,
right. They did get it on.
Yep.
Chicka wah wah. Finally.
They made a baby.
Yeah,
They
that blue
made a
dress
baby.
was finally getting to him because she'd been wearing it the whole time, and he was like, "We got to get you out of that blue dress." And then she puts it back on because guess what? At the end of the movie, they ended on a great note. She's pregnant. Oh yeah,
Yay!
she's
Another
pregnant.
child to ignore.
And
She's like,
she got pregnant from that particular time they had sex.
No,
Oh,
why-
no, I don't
Was that
know.
why they
think
like
so.
slowed it down and made it so important?
Yeah.
Oh my god.
It's like 2 days later, and she has like a little bump. You see her pointing to it. Oh, is that? Is it?
Oh.
Yeah,
There's the sci-fi angle. It's an alien baby.
it's an alien baby.
Alien baby. All right. Speaking of which, the 150,000 pound a year question: how would you rewrite this sequel? And most importantly, who would die? Now, I've given you guys some genre choices. I've given Malik a thriller, parentheses, like for real graphic and stuff, because this was supposed to be a thriller, but it wasn't. Joe has sci-fi. Lorenzo has a musical. I'm also going to give you guys the option of just doing the mystery angle. I'm doing the teacher thing and giving you a little option for you to feel all, empowered. Actually, that's a toddler thing. Like, I do that with my daughter. Anyway, you guys.
Oh.
So I think we're going to stay on you, Joe.
You gonna stay on me?
Yes.
All right. So I have chosen not to go the sci-fi angle. I was trying to come up with like a Guardians of the Galaxy Star Wars thing, but it wasn't working out. So I wanted to go with. I'm gonna go with what I wanted this movie to be. I wanted it to be Clue, but set in the Pride and Prejudice era, right?
Hmm.
So I wanted somebody to die in the study with the candlestick or something like that. Preferably Mr. Collins. We would have brought him in this movie just so he can get killed, because for his total annoyance in the first in that miniseries. So they would have had the ball. It would have been a spectacular night. Lots of dancing and food and drinking, and Mary would have been playing on the piano. It was gonna be fantastic. Um, and then all of a sudden you see like whispering in the halls. Mr. Collins has to go to the study or whatever, and then boom, he's killed. And then Mrs. Reynolds would come walking in. Oh my God, Mr. Collins is dead. Darcy, come quickly. And they come, and then they lock it down to be Pemberley lockdown. Nobody leaves until we figure out who's the murderer. Everybody stays, and then I guess what's his name, Mr. Hardcastle, the magistrate or whatever they
I
call him.
think so, yeah.
Yeah, Hardcastle.
Hatchet face guy.
Yeah, whatever. Yeah, exactly. He comes and he'll investigate the murder. So I'm thinking something along those lines, you know. And then you solve this big murder, and you feel like you've there's something happening, there's something at stake because you already know Mr. Collins, and you hated him from the
Yeah.
first one, and you just feel bad for Charlotte. Maybe Charlotte did it. Maybe she was trying to get out.
Nice.
You know,
That
she
was
already
her
she was
way.
already she was already making this guy walk to work and walk everywhere, so she had to be with him. So maybe, maybe she hit him. There's a whole list of suspects. That's just one.
Nice. All right. I like that. I like that, like, it's more of a true mystery as opposed to this weird amalgam that this thing wanted to be.
Yeah.
All right, Malik?
Yeah, so as I mentioned earlier, I felt like watching this, I saw, and it's funny because it's funny that you mentioned, because I've started watching this a little bit before your agenda came out, and when you gave me the thriller topic, I was kind of like, wow, that's interesting, because as I was watching this, I was like seeing it from the lens of this could be a really, really interesting thriller, because um, a lot of the stuff is there. Um, so basically, my backdrop is that we start out with the death of Denham, um, but instead of that death being off screen, it's on screen, and what we see is Denham is having an argument with Darcy. He walks out of the stagecoach, and he's walking in the woods, he's heading somewhere. We don't know where he's walking to. We don't know what he's actually doing. And it's dark, and he starts to lose his bearing. He starts hearing things in the shadows, hearing things in the woods. He's looking around, he's not sure what it is. Maybe he sees something, and he thinks it's an animal. He takes a shot at it, and it turns out that it's not. He thinks it's just his imagination. He continues walking, only to be beheaded by a scythe that takes his head clear off, and his body is then found by Wickham, dead, with the scythe laying next to him, laying next to the body. Wickham obviously picks up the scythe, not sure what's going on with it, and he gets arrested. So that this whole thing of Wickham being the killer, starts out that way. It starts out with the Hardcastles and everybody, investigating the crime and investigating it under the suspicion that Wickham is the one that's killing, and that killed. And in actuality, what it turns into is just like similar to what Joe said. Everyone gets to the house for the ball. Everyone is meant to stay in the house while this investigation is taking place. And in the way that that's happening, the killer of Denham begins to pick them off one by one in the house. So he kills all of your interesting characters. He draws and quarters Colonel Fitzwilliam, and finds a way to get to either behead him or use some kind of, we wanted to use like some kind of all those really old ways of execution. And his weapon of choice is like one of those big executioner's axes, and he walks through, and the killer walks through, and he kills. He's just murdering people left and right. Throughout the course of the thing, people are just dropping like flies. Nobody knows who's doing it. Everybody's like, pointing fingers at one another. It's scary. It's crazy, and all this is going on, and we figure out, and basically how it ends after all of these murders, and it's been the serial killer happening, and everybody's scared, and we figure out in the end, and this is the best part of it to me. No one actually figures out everyone dies, and we figure out, but before everyone dies, the killer reveals himself to Darcy and to Elizabeth. And the killer is William. The killer is William, who has been faking his illness
There
for
you
all
go.
of this time. He's been faking this illness for all of this time, and he has secretly hated the Darcys, the Hardcastles, and all of these rich families, while him and his people, his family, have lived in these like mundane cottages. They are completely disregarded the entire time. So he said, fuck it. And he decided to start taking them all out and taking what is his. And he said, hey, I was sick. I was supposedly sick for all this time. But did you ever offer a room to me from Pemberley? Did you ever offer me a room in your fucking castle? You never offered me anything. I was living in this goddamn cottage that has like one room all this time, and I'm sick and I'm dying. But yet you got all these bastards coming in here from everywhere, from all over the town. Coming for these balls and coming for these galas and all of this stuff. So yeah, so I took your home and I turned it into a fucking hell house. I destroyed everything. I killed everyone. I'm burning this bitch down, and it ends with him, with the William character, burning the house down.
Yes.
And it appears that he has died. And this is my favorite part. It appears that William has burned the house down and he dies with the home. And instead, we cut to a final scene at the end. We cut to a final scene at the very, very end in another part of London, in another really, really, like a well-to-do area, and they're in this town. They are talking about what happened at Pemberley and the death that came to Pemberley and all the people that have died in Pemberley, and they look to hire their new stagecoach person that deals with their horses, and it's William, and he's now on to the next really, really, famous and rich place. So he's taking them all out one by one, city by city. That's my story.
Wow. You've made William like such a like class hero. This
I
is
want
truly
him.
like,
Yeah, I wanted a serious. I wanted him to be a badass. I was like, when he showed him, I was like, man, he's just like this. He's so he appears so frail and fragile. I wanted him to be like, no, that's only what I'm showing you, because you guys are so freaking self-absorbed with your own bullshit. You don't even take the time to pay attention to us, even for a second, until I'm putting a damn scythe through your head, or until I'm burning your house down. That's when you take the time to recognize who I am. So yeah, that was my take on it. That was where I would have gone with this, and it would have been really, really bloody, and really, really gory, and
and
all sorts of fun.
and it would have been faithful to Pride and Prejudice, I think.
Yeah, because it would have been their pride and their prejudice that killed,
You're right.
that
Oh
ultimately killed them, and killed them all.
that's so awesome. Lorenzo?
Okay, sorry about that. Um, you guys can hear me, right?
Yes.
So I would do a musical. I would do a musical mystery. It would start with a ball, and of course, and there would be a big Bollywood spectacular dance number where everybody sings about how life, being married, is boring, and how they all wish they could go back to the good old days. And then there'd be a song called "Red Herrings" when red herring, and it would be sung when red herrings are being served at dinner. Uh, and then when the party is supposed to end, there'd be a huge storm that keeps everybody from leaving. And then and then it's just musical number after musical number, and everybody starts to die. Like Miss Bennett does a whole song and dance about how there was something foul in her banoffee pie, and everybody sort of shrugs her off, and then she dies. Perhaps face first in some of her leftover banoffee pie. So then everybody's like, who could have killed her? And then they can have a song about all the people who could have killed Miss Bennett. It would just go on and on with, naming all the people and all the reasons they would have for killing Miss Bennett. And then a song about a quadrille called "What the Fuck is Quadrille?" And in the middle of the song, the lights go out, and like Bingham bites it with a buck knife in his bag. I don't know if they had buck knives, but that could be a whole song in itself. Like, what the fuck is a buck knife? And so then they try dancing again, but there's a scream, and they find Wickham dead in the loo from what appears to be autoerotic autoerotic asphyxiation, and that gets everybody singing about all the people who've died from autoerotic asphyxiation. Like There was David Carradine and Vaughn Bode, Stephen McGilligan, and the dude from INXS. But it would be better. We need to get a composer. Of course, if you wanted to be historically accurate, you could just do a whole song about that composer of Fradisik Katswera and how he tried to pay a prostitute 2 shillings to cut off his balls and just ended up having sex with her with a noose around his neck until he died.
Wow, I didn't. Wow. Okay.
I think he was the first known example of
Autoerotic.
celebrity
Oh.
autoerotic asphyxiation.
Huh.
Anyway, so then it would just, go on like that until morning when it's discovered that it was all the servants all along. And then everyone admits that they've been generally douchey to the staff for far too long, and then they all have a big number, which would, like include a pie fight, maybe. And that'd be it. Happy ending.
Autoerotic asphyxiation, Banffy pie, red herrings, and class warfare. I'm seeing a theme here, you guys, about class warfare, and I'm here for that.
We're angry. These are trying times.
Yes, they are. They are dark times.
I think that's the one thing that Jane Austen doesn't tackle it, at all. In her book, in this book, in Pride and Prejudice, she doesn't tackle it at all, and then it's not seen like these people are just throwaway characters. They have no voice, they have no value other than to serve the main characters, and I feel like they need the opportunity. I feel like all the servants should come together and kill all the rich people.
And Austen really missed out on a chance to be a champion.
Yeah.
For the poor.
A revolutionary.
Champion for the servants.
Champion for the servants. No, I think she was like middle class, so she wrote about like people who are richer than her, basically.
She was probably too busy drafting. Taking those drafts that the doctor brings. That's what she called it, right? Drafts.
Yeah.
I want to know what the hell is in. I want to know what the hell is in that draft.
Opium.
Weed. They were doing weed, man. They was relaxing them.
I think it's probably cocaine.
Yeah, it's coke.
Cocaine speeds you up. It doesn't slow you down.
I think if you do enough of it, it'll slow you down.
Really, if you do enough of it. I think that's called a speedball, and people have died of it, isn't it? Like, I don't know, speedballs with heroin. But still.
Tell us more about drugs, Johanna.
You're the one who started with the drugs. You're the one who has this theory that if you do enough coke, it'll slow you down.
Yeah, it's like PCP. It's a horse tranquilizer.
Tell me more about drugs, Lorenzo.
Well, there's PCP, which is...
PCP's not a horse tranquilizer.
It is too.
It is not.
It is too.
No, it's not.
It is too.
It is not a horse tranquilizer.
It is too.
It is not.
It is too.
It isn't.
It is.
I'm going to look it up.
Look it up.
Look it up. Pharmaceutical drug. It was brought to the market in the 1950s as an anesthetic pharmaceutical drug. I don't think it was for horses.
Look up PCP horse tranquilizer.
You're going to have to snip this in post, you know that, right? Or PCP.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. Miss ma'am.
Yay. Urban Dictionary. Oh, was used as a horse tranquilizer. Damn it, Lorenzo. Hold on, I don't think so. It's referred to as horse tranquilizer. Phencyclidine. But phencyclidine is not the same as PCP. I mean, you can keep some of this, but I mean, me typing things in, oh, what do you know? Yeah, it is a horse tranquilizer. I guess you're right.
I'll be using that as any drafts.
No.
We
you'll
questioning Lorenzo about his drugs.
Yeah, for someone who keeps saying that I have all this knowledge about drugs, it seems like Lorenzo knows quite a
I
bit
mean,
about
he
this.
did live in Texas for a while, and
Hey,
And
he probably jumped across a few times, going back and forth, making deliveries and pickups. He knows his
Lorenzo,
stuff.
that's how you do in Texas.
you can't tell, you can't say that you're a member of MS-13, but like pretty much everybody down there is a member of MS-13.
How are they? I mean, yeah, well, I was going to say that's a Salvadorian thing, but now it really isn't. Now it's like an equal opportunity employer.
Exactly.
They've got like Russian people like in the MS-13 now.
They needed people.
Yeah, no, it's quite a life.
I think Darcy was the first MS-13, and then it just came over here. It started with Darcy. You got to bring it back to Pride and Prejudice. It started with Darcy, and I think the Darcy family. I think it all started at Pemberley.
Was Darcy, was he ever in the military?
No.
Yeah, because I felt like they could have used more military scenes. Like maybe, like them doing PCP out in the, out on the open terrain. What war was that they were in together? The Irish
The Irish campaign,
The Irish
whatever.
campaign, yeah.
against the French.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And Wickham became a war hero at that time.
He did.
I would have liked to have seen some of that.
The PCP. Oh, can we add some autoerotic asphyxiation?
Yes, I mean, yeah, maybe like a Heart of Darkness, Apocalypse Now type story with
Oh my god. Yeah.
yeah, and it's like Darcy has to actually kill what's his name? I wanted to call him Bennett, but that's not his name.
Bingley?
Oh yeah, that'd be even better.
Mr. Bingley!
No, I meant Wickham though. Like Wickham is Schultz and Darcy is Sheen, Charlie Sheen.
Charlie Sheen.
And is that the right one? Yeah, Apocalypse
I've
Now,
never
Charlie
seen
Sheen.
this
Yeah.
film. Sure.
No, Charlie Sheen was Martin Sheen was in Apocalypse.
Martin Sheen, yeah.
And your favorite actor, Larry Fishburne.
Charlie Sheen was in Platoon,
Charlie Sheen was in Platoon,
which is another great Vietnam movie.
and so was what's the one? Full Metal Jacket.
Oh yeah, that was a good movie too. Definitely. Hamburger Hill, I liked Hamburger Hill too. But yeah, Full Metal Jacket was really good. It made me want to be a reporter, like a war reporter.
Full Metal Jacket?
No, yeah, Full Metal Jacket. Because the guy ends up becoming like a photographer, right?
Yeah.
And yeah, I just thought that would be like the coolest job. I mean, scary as shit, but like way better than trying to shoot people.
Could be like the kid in what's his name? The dude that was in Saving Private Ryan, the one that was with the typewriter and the notes.
Yeah, that would see as technology has progressed, it's nice to not have to rely on a typewriter. I think we've definitely gone off topic.
Yeah, I think we've
Yeah, we
gone off
have.
topic, and you'll have to fix some of this in post.
Understood.
I have another list of things, but I'll email it to you.
Are we done?
So- yeah.
Oh my!
Oh no!
That was it. That's all she wrote.
But it was so much fun. I don't want to stop.
Oh my! I think I'm gonna need to take a draft. Where's the doctor?
Where's the PCP?
Don't be a bloody fool, Wickham.
Yeah, they didn't say bloody enough in this. For English people, they didn't say bloody enough. I think I'm gonna start watching Sherlock just to see what they say.
They don't curse at all.
Well, I think maybe it's because they're too high class to say bloody.
Maybe. I don't know enough about the high class to know that.
I feel like bloody is like, like came from like that Cockney type slang.
Oh.
Like it's probably like another word they're trying to say, but no, because there's bleed in hell.
So what's the next Jane Austen thing we're gonna tackle, Johanna?
I think we're gonna leave Miss
We might have to
Austen
start
alone.
reading books if we keep this up.
I know, but there's lots of films. There's Sense and Sensibility. There's Mansfield Park, Persuasion. We could have a thing going here for another year.
Jesus Christ.
No, in all honesty, I think we're gonna let this one go for now.
But if there is a Pride and Prejudice and Zombies, if that ever gets made, then we have to do a show on that. You have to do a show on that.
I shall. I shall. I think it'll happen eventually. It's such a popular book.
Yeah, I don't know. They just keep talking about it, and it keeps getting like, what do they call it when it gets turned around? Red light, green light, opposite of a green light. Turned around, sent back, revised. I forget what they call it when they just can't get a script going.
Oh, they shelve it. They shelve it.
Is that what it is?
I think so.
I
Well,
don't know.
shelve it means like.
Well, even a movie that's been made can be shelved. And
Yeah, I mean,
it's never
like
released.
they buy the rights and they buy the rights and then they just can't get anybody to write the right script for it. So.
Or they just can't get, I guess, the money together or whatever. It's just bugging me. I can't think of that phrase, the word when it goes back and it doesn't get made.
Hmm.
Anyway, I'll figure it out and I'll get back to you. Oh, don't you need to do your conclusion, Johanna?
My conclusion, that's pretty much all she wrote. Hold on, I'll do my conclusion for real. So we've come to the end of our discussion about this sequel. I think the prognosis is this probably didn't need to be made, but there was some level of entertainment to be had, even if it was just hearing you guys' ideas for how to make this better or to turn crap into pewter. All right, so from myself, from Joe, from Lorenzo, from Malik, we are the Agents of Helm. And see you next week. I think next week is Joe's show. Right?
Nope.
Oops.
Malik?
Malik, I'm sorry, Malik.
No, that's fine.
There's been so much shifting. So yeah, we'll have Malik's show, and we'll have a weekly, the subject of which I think we're still thinking about.
Yeah, we'll figure that out too.
Yes. Yes.
By all means, offer up your suggestions if you have any.
Yes, audience, please give us your series suggestions, and yeah.
Agents at Helm, gmail.com.
agentsofhelm@gmail.com, agentsofhelm.com. We have a Facebook, a Twitter. We have every single kind of social media except Goodreads because the guys won't use our account. So.
Yeah. I mean,
Yeah.
we're so bad. I think you've mentioned this before, how bad we are with ours, like promoting ourselves on social media.
This might be something we fix in post.
Well, I'm just saying.
About how we suck at social media.
Well, I think like there's ways that we should like engage people to get more, So send us in your suggestions on how we can get more people to send us in their suggestions.
Please give us advice on how to promote ourselves in social media.
Does that sound desperate?
Yes.
Send us one suggestion,
Yes,
and you get to be on the show.
well, I guess, yeah. I mean, we could do that.
I think we just hire people that don't have jobs to do it for us.
Hey, I mean, Taylor was telling me about something like that. You can pay people like Bupkis, and they'll do stuff for you.
Yeah.
I don't know the website. It's like handy.com or something.
Yeah, because the big celebs, they don't actually fill out their Twitter or Facebook. They get somebody else to do that.
Exactly. Other people read the shit and they just tweet.
If you're actually looking for somebody to fill out your Twitter or your Facebook, I can help you with that. Just letting you know. We could like use this time to do like a classified sections where we try to sell some of our stuff.
What, this time in the show, or?
like when we're asking for people to comment and send us stuff. At this point, we could just say, well, I have a full frame bed. Like,
Trying to sell. I have an old PS3 that's it's half broken.
no, man, you have to like sell it up. Nobody's gonna want to put a bid on that.
A brand new PS3. Oh no, you say vintage. Vintage. Just add vintage to it.
Lorenzo wants to start Helm Bay over here.
Helm Bay.
I like it.
Helm Bay.
Yes, I have some clothing that's really ugly that I could sell.
Are you sure you're not renting it?
Wait a minute. Were you there when I had that conversation?
Must have been.
Huh.
Yeah.
I'm not renting clothes anymore, okay? And there's nothing wrong with that. Why are you making it sound so dirty? Oh my god.
Well, I'm willing to sell my services. If you're lonely or you're ugly, I'll go to the movies with you. We'll sit in a dark theater and I'll have conversations with you about the film. Hey, look, I can be a very entertaining person to watch movies with, so, just kind of want to put it out there.
Hey, man, that's a nice free way for you to see movies.
Exactly. Well,
Hold on. Who has to pay?
They pay for his services.
They pay for my services. I'm an escort.
Yeah.
I'm an agent of Helm escort. I will escort you to your movie, and we will sit down and watch it together. And you are unsightly looking, and I will spend time with you and take pictures with you.
How much does it cost?
Well, I guess it's all.
And can you give us professional discounts?
I guess it's all dependent upon how much money we need as a group to take our show to the next level. So, I'm kind of willing to charge whatever.
Yeah, but how far are you willing to go? I think is the question.
I mean, look, I'll just have to have a couple conversations with my wife, but I'm sure her and I'll be able to come to an agreement, come to an understanding. That things got to happen for the Agents of Helm to blow up. Sometimes you got to give up a little something. Like I might not be proud of the things that we did, but we're millionaires because of it. I'm good with that.
So you wouldn't. So if she didn't mind you being with a male sponsor, then you also wouldn't mind.
I mean, I go to a movie with another. I don't know if I go to a movie with another dude that I don't know.
But like that's not like you wouldn't even do that. Then how are we ever gonna make any money?
I mean, but a rather unshapely, portly woman, I'll take her to the movies.
I think we're gonna get a lot more offers from men than we are from women. No offense.
Okay, well then
you are just a sexy man.
You're keeping this. We're keeping this.
I'll visit that as a possibility. But I ain't renting myself out. I'm not renting my body out to nobody. To no dude.
You rent boy.
Not to no dude. Okay.
Indecent proposal.
Yeah, that's not gonna happen. Not with no dude,
$1 million.
No, see, I need that Howard Stern scenario money. $7 million a year for 7 years. Give me that, and we can consider it.
What was the name of that episode? Do you remember?
Was it Choose Your Destiny? I think it was.
Choose Your Destiny. Yeah,
Yes.
people should definitely check that episode out. It was a good one. And also check out our. I mean, if you haven't, if you're listening to this still and you haven't listened to our Pride and Prejudice episode, then you're doing things the wrong way. But it's not too late. You can still listen to our Pride and Prejudice episode.
It's there. It exists.
It's never too late.
What number is it? Do you guys remember those numbers?
Vaguely.
It's episode 42, I want to say.
42.
I don't know what episode this is.
I think this episode
47. 47.
Jesus.
No.
Oh my God, we're close to 50.
48.
48? Oh, yours was 47. That's right.
Right.
Yeah, we're taping one ahead. That's
Yep.
what you're supposed to do in the business. You're supposed to tape one ahead.
Oh, we just kind of fell into that then.
We fell into being professional.
Yep.
That would be our tagline. We fell into being professional.
Well, I'm sure you got a lot of editing to do, Lorenzo.
Yes,
I
and
know.
I've got some
So
bonuses.
you're gonna do
to
it
add.
tonight.
Oh no, yeah, I'm sure not tonight. It's already almost 1. I just realized how late it is.
You haven't even gotten the list yet.
I think it's mostly complete.
All right. So I'm gonna probably release mine because I'm done, but I'm gonna release it on Sunday.
Release it tomorrow. Why don't you release it tomorrow?
Why? You just released yours the other day. Give you a few days.
I mean, I think it's already like picking up like enough momentum. It's got like what 40 maybe 30.
Yeah, you're on 40.
I think it's good. It's just it'll go up and yours will be out and it'll get us. I think it'll be good if you do it on Friday. I feel like we're dry. I don't know. What do you think?
What do you mean dry?
Haven't put on enough content.
Oh
Yeah,
yeah,
like-
no, we haven't.
No, I mean, yeah, I mean we
But-
went.
But we can. But, we can though, because now it's the whole new month. It's December, and we're kicking ass for December.
Really?
Yeah, definitely. So we could like keep that momentum going up all through December and try to hit 600 again.
Oh, Johanna, have you seen A Christmas Story?
Yes.
Okay.
My brother. my
If you
brother-
would have said no to that question, oh my
I
god.
feel like she just saw it recently or something.
No, I saw it like when I was younger. Like my brother was obsessed. My younger brother was obsessed with it, so like we'd watch it. Like,
Okay.
5
Are you gonna
times
do a
day.
Christmas Story episode, Malik?
Yeah, we're going to we're gonna redo A Christmas Story.
I
Agent
hate that
Style
fucking
style.
movie, but it's fine.
Really?
You'll shoot
Yes.
your eye out.
Did you hear that? Yeah, did you hear that, Joe?
How does anybody hate A Christmas Story?
Because you don't understand. I watched it like 100 times because my brother had this thing like where he had to watch movies. That's why I don't like The Matrix either. Because he made me watch The Matrix 100 times, and we shared a room when we were growing
100
up.
times, Johanna. 100 times.
100 times.
100
I'm
times.
not-
So I expect you then to have the Matrix memorized, like scene for scene, and be able to like do any scene from that, like just totally like say. And I think Malik then should expect you to know all the dialogue for A Christmas Story and be able to act out any part.
I've blocked them from my mind.
Hmm.
I know the Christmas Story though. I know the stupid movie. I know it. I know it. I know the stupid movie. So.
Yeah, I was gonna do A Christmas Story and National Lampoon's Christmas Vacation. Or
Oh, I like that movie.
The Griswolds.
So you're gonna do both or just one?
I'm gonna do. Well, we're gonna watch. I said we're gonna talk about both. But what I'm brainstorming is that we'll do like an Agents of Helm themed Christmas story. You know, that takes us on vacation and does all those things. So I'm gonna like try to build out the story and have you guys act out some of the stuff, and then we'll talk.
Oh.
We'll talk about where our Christmas story goes. So I'm trying to start thinking it through, start typing it up over the weekend. Hopefully, have you guys the agenda by Tuesday.
Wonderful. Is that the last one? That's not the last one we're doing, right?
Well, I figure because next week is going to be tough for us to record because next Thursday is the holiday party,
Yeah. So,
right? So unless we record next weekend.
Or we could do it on Wednesday.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, if I'm done by Tuesday, we can do it on Wednesday. That's not a problem.
And the week ending the 19th, that'll be it because I don't think we're not going to record
Yeah.
Christmas week or New Year's week.
Right, exactly. So that's why I was figuring that my next episode would probably be
The Christmas
the
episode.
Christmas episode. Um, so that's why I kind of started thinking through Christmas Story and National Lampoon's Christmas, because I'm gonna have my kids watch it this weekend for the first time, both of them. They've never seen a Christmas Story, so
I actually saw
How did you
that.
keep them from it for so long?
I don't know. I well for a
Your
long time I
daughter's
didn't
like
own it.
13 or 12,
No,
11,
she's 10.
10.
Yeah, I didn't own it for a long time, and my son, my son don't really he won't sit through a movie, and my daughter, I think that had it ever re-released in the theater, I would have taken her to see it, but she's like a Pixar movie type person, so getting her to sit down and watch a live action film, with people is actually kind of tough right now. Like if it's not animated, she's really not interested. So that's pretty much the reason why. But I think she'll sit down and watch A Christmas Story. Well, she ain't got no choice. I'm gonna make her watch it.
Yeah,
Awesome,
definitely a must see for Christmas.
awesome Christmas
And
movie. So,
I've seen it many times. I don't know that I've seen it 100 times, Johanna.
no, not as much as Johanna. Of course not.
I've seen it a lot. I fucking hate that film.
Oh my gosh.
It's Ralphie. Man.
It's so stupid.
But when was the last time you saw it, Johanna?
It's supposed to
God. I
be their
saw
kid,
it like
Johanna.
I don't think she remembers it.
14. Maybe?
Yeah, I think maybe you should revisit it.
I'm good. Well, I'll watch it because we're doing this show, but I don't like it. I don't like it.
What? You know what? You sound a little fragile.
What do you mean fragile?
Fragile. See, you have not seen it 100
I
times.
have seen it. It's they're talking about the stupid leg lamp, and the mother doesn't like it. And
Yeah, but you would have got fragile right away.
Right away.
It must be from Italy. It says fragile on it.
I'm the last just man. Okay, that's what I am.
You're so wrong on this one.
I'm not wrong.
Yeah, you are.
How can an opinion be wrong?
Yeah, I don't know, but you managed to do it.
It's not wrong.
So that's my goal.
Oh, that reminds me. I gotta buy tickets to go see Christmas Vacation at the Draft House.
When is it again, Joe?
December 23rd. They're like $15 a pop. I'm like, damn.
Yeah.
I could buy the Blu-ray like 10 times for that.
Not to mention the food the food that you buy when you're in there.
I know, but
It's like an event.
I told Alicia about it, and she was like, "I want to see it in the movie theater." I'm like, "All right, that seems like it'll be fun."
Wait, Christmas Story or Christmas Vacation?
Christmas Vacation.
Christmas Vacation. All right, if you decide to go, let me know. I may tag along.
Okay.
Yeah, and I'll bring Brianna to see Christmas Vacation, and then we'll watch Christmas Story at home.
I just wish they were doing it earlier in the season, as opposed to like waiting till December 23rd. Because by now, normally I pop at Christmas Vacation like the Friday after Thanksgiving. I'm already start watching it.
Mm-hmm. What is this show, The Librarians?
I don't know.
Oh.
I saw it on I saw it on the side of a bus the other day.
It's by the job.
Yeah.
Yeah, somewhere over there by Union Square. But the guy that I wanted to play Wolverine is in it, so.
Who's that?
Did you ever see Leverage?
Yeah.
Yeah, the guy that
Oh,
was
the dude with the long hair?
the guy that was a fact in Leverage. I always wanted him that was the guy I envisioned for Wolverine.
Yeah, but they didn't start doing Leverage until way after he got to be
Well,
Wolverine.
I knew who he was. No, I knew who he was before Leverage. So,
You knew who he was in like late '90s because X-Men came out like in 2000.
No. Well, that's what I'm saying. Like, that's the type of guy that I wanted to play Wolverine. And then when I saw him on screen, probably in '04, I saw him on screen something, and I was like, that's the guy. That's him. That's what it would look like. because and then when I watched him on Leverage, that's when I started telling people, see, that's fucking Logan, okay? That guy that's on Leverage is Logan. It's just a TNT version of it, so it's not really, it's some dude. I was like, that's the same dude. But,
Oh, did you see they cast what's his face as the lead actor in the Walking Dead spinoff?
no.
Walking Dead spinoff.
Yeah, what the fuck is his name again? Cliff Curtis.
What are they doing? Wait, why are they doing a Walking Dead spinoff?
I don't know. Make more money?
Wait, about what was it about? Just another group of people that are
Yeah, just be another group of people.
on the same network.
Yeah.
Okay, so they're gonna show us Walking Dead 2 times. Makes no sense.
There's a Facebook account called "A Christmas Story is a Terrible Movie and I Hate It."
Yep.
It started by Johanna.
It was the only thing I
No.
could find on the internet that referenced negativity about A Christmas Story.
Come on. You really looked that up?
Yes.
Oh my goodness.
But they have this funny. He has this funny little poster that says, it's what's his name? Stark. Ned Stark,
Mhm.
and he's like standing there against the wind, and it says, "Brace yourself, 24-hour Christmas Story marathon is coming."
Oh. Oh.
Instead
my-
of winter is coming.
And my
You
younger
should
brother
be
still
friends
watches
with
it.
this Facebook.
I should. What is it called?
Christmas Story is a terrible movie and I hate it.
All right. Christmas. Come on.
I'm serious.
Christmas movie.
Lorenzo just started it.
A Christmas Story is a terrible movie and I hate it.
It's not in here. You are putting me on.
No, I'm serious. A Christmas
Yes, you
Story
are.
is
You're
a terrible
putting me
movie and I hate it. It's a real thing. I'm looking at it right now.
I'm curious, how many likes does it have, Lorenzo?
600 and...
That's right.
That's it? 600? That's
600?
No, I'm sorry. 209.
Oh, that's it?
Yeah.
At least I no longer feel alone.
What is it?
209 other people
in the world,
in the
Johanna.
world
In the
who
world.
A Christmas
Who
Story is
jokingly
terrible.
agree with you. Jokingly agree with you. I don't even think they really agree with you.
I think the thing is that the people who don't like it live in the shadows because they're afraid of being persecuted. It's like you guys have all seen Equilibrium. I saw it recently. And it's like the people who feel things have to hide in the shadows from the people who are taking the pills.
Which movie is this?
Equilibrium.
Oh, okay.
The gun kata.
Gun Fu?
Gun kata.
Yes,
Yeah.
Gung Fu.
Yes.
I didn't think it had anything to do with that. I just thought it was about guns.
You've never seen it?
No, I saw it. That's what I said. Like, that movie's just all about guns and.
It's all about Christian Bale hiding his feelings, or pretending to hide his feelings,
Yeah.
taking the pill, and then his own son is going to turn him in.
But then his son turns out to be, also not taking the damn pills, so. No one in that family's taking the pills.
Yeah. They're not dedicated drug addicts.
No. They had no dedication, and they probably hate A Christmas Story.
Not a big fan of the gun kata.
It was stupid. Sorry.
Equilibrium?
It was like really bad porn.
I enjoyed it.
No, the gun kata, like that stuff. I mean, the story was really good. And before, like, they got to that gun kata shit, I was like, hell yeah. And I'm still kind of like, hell yeah. Like, Sean hates it. Like, he was watching it with me, and he's like, I can't even finish it, Johanna. But I
feel
finished...
like his voice changes.
And none of them sound like Sean.
We're not still recording, are we?
Yeah,
Yeah, we actually are.
Are you kidding me?
We're still live, yeah.
Hey, so
Yeah.
there's two things. One, I think we never said goodbye, right?
Oh, wait,
No,
I
because
said
we're still recording.
Oh, shit.
So
okay, we'll do that part over again.
We should just, I'll say goodbye.
All right. Bye.
Bye.
Later.
Cheerio.
Bye. Where's my draft?
Pip pip.
That is it. That's
You've got your goodbye now, Lorenzo.
Bye-bye.
So it makes it really hard to figure out how much